Hey there, everybody. Good to see everyone today. Thank you for joining me on a Saturday for let's call it Furry Saturdays today. Welcome to anyone who's new here. This is the Animal Intuitive channel. I'm Angela Webb, the Animal Intuitive. And I'm going to stop in and say, just poke into the chat in just a second. But first, I just want to welcome anybody who is new here and let you know that this is an episode to talk a little bit about how to support our pets during the summer travel season, the heat, all the things that just comes with summer. Separation. It's a wonderful time of year. It's my favorite time of year, but we do have some challenges with our pets sometimes. So today, here on the Animal Intuitive channel, I'm going to show you some brief pointers, just some general ones, but also some real, literal acupressure points that are going to help you this summer to support your pet with these summer challenges that we have. And just to let you know, this is a show about animal communication. I'm Angela Webb, as I said. I'm a certified animal acupressure practitioner, massage practitioner for animals. I'm also a professional animal communicator, an animal communication instructor of 20 years, and human integrative coach incorporating performance training, hypnosis, brain spotting to help performance for animal professionals, hobbyists, and pet loss, amongst other things. I am not a veterinarian or a human doctor. I am a licensed clinical social worker, but no information today or at any point in this channel is meant to be taken as medical or mental health advice. It is for entertainment purposes and for education. Okay, so in addition to everything I'm going to share with you in today's video, what would also be definitely to your advantage this summer and at any time really, is to join us next Saturday, June 10th at 12 p.m. Eastern for a fun, free, interactive class. It is Unlocking the Secrets of Animal Communication. And in that class, you are going to show you a little bit, a preview of it. It doesn't really show it, but there we go. There is a link in the description if you'd like to sign up for that class. It is free, and we are going to be doing some meditation to quiet the mind for receiving animal communication. But bear in mind, this is not going to be on YouTube. This is a private class, but it's free. You just have to pre-register. It can be found by going to that link in the description or going to my website, intuitivetouchanimalcare.com. Also a link in the description. You're going to learn how to communicate using your innate gifts for animal communication. You will understand how to know when information is coming from animals versus your own thoughts and feelings. And you're going to practice with speaking with animals with some new friends in the class and immediately understand how to know what pets are thinking and feeling. So I really hope that you will join us for that class. Okay. So back to today. Let me find my camera here. That's coming in just a moment, one of our points. Okay. All right. Let me just hop real quick into the chat. I want to say hello to all the friends who are here. It's good to see you, Mel Mac. Thank you so much. Yes, you can also just take a look at all my videos after today's show. Lots of videos about, there's playlists for animal communication, playlists for acupressure massage. Thank you so much for sharing that, Melmac. It's good to see you. I appreciate you. And hi, good night, Owl. Good to see you. I know it's getting hot. We're a little rainy here in New Jersey, but yes, we need all the puppies, kittens, baby fur friends, family in our life. They always bring a smile to us. Absolutely. We're looking as crazy as possible, as usual. Right before I go on the show, it usually does something insane. All right, who else is here? Yes, you got to sign up. Good night, Al. We'd love to have you there. Even if you've taken one of my classes too, you can come to this class. Just because you've taken something with me doesn't mean you can't come and join us for this class. And there's my website. Okay, yes, there's little Angelic Gia. This is our kitty that's on the show always. There she is. All right, so let's get to it. I'm serious. Let's get to it. Okay, so these are just some practical pointers for the summer. As I said, we're going to get to the acupressure points in just a moment. But the first thing I would say is before you're doing anything this summer, just to get ready, if you're going to be traveling especially, or leaving your pets, just consult with your veterinarian, make sure that your pet is in good health so you don't have to worry about anything. Make things go smoothly. And if there's anything they need, any medications, supplements. And I also find myself that I really like to use things like CBDs, essential oils, herbs. I like a mushroom blend with herbs. We had a veterinarian on the show. You can find that episode in my playlist, and he talked about some mushrooms. It's like a mushroom blend with herbs that are really helpful, and that's real mushrooms. All these links are in the description too for CBDs, essential oils, herbs, and I'm not just saying that because I only affiliate myself with these brands that I really find myself to be beneficial for my pets. But you might want to think about those. Always check with your veterinarian. But those can really help to calm your pet if they're having any kind of anxiety or stress. I use them regularly for my pets. And preparing your dogs, for instance, and sometimes cats for travel, or, there's a lot of people take different types of pets on vacation or wherever. But if you're planning to travel by car, for some, it can be important to just acclimate your pets to the car rides beforehand, take them on shorter trips to familiarize them with that experience. Additionally, make sure they're comfortable in a crate or carrier if required during the journey. Research, make sure you're going into a pet-friendly accommodation and, know about their pet policies, of course, before you venture out into those places. Plan for taking regular breaks. Animals need to get out often, stretch their legs, and always keep pets hydrated. Just keep in mind, animals, make sure that they're hydrated and they're not left in hot cars. You don't want to leave them in the car. There's different opinions about the temperature. I've seen anywhere as low as like 60, just in the sun can be too hot. So never leave them in a running car, but just avoid leaving them in a parked car, especially without you. Even with just the windows cracked, sometimes it can be dangerous. So it's better, in my opinion, I'm overly cautious about it. To me, it's just better safe than sorry. You don't want to have some horrible tragedy affecting your life and your wonderful pets. So, all right. So if you run, errands, just make sure that maybe you can leave them with somebody when you're away this summer. If you have to go out and you're on vacation, maybe someone can just stay behind with them, for instance. So be mindful too of just where you're going. Make sure the climate's good. That's all kind of common sense. Also, remember, all dogs and cats or whoever are unique and their tolerance to travel may vary. So you just be aware you may need to make adjustments during your trip. It's always just good, for us just to practice groundedness. And, I have found sometimes I have to change plans because of my pets. So we love them. We make them our priority, of course. Okay, so it's just a little bit about that. So acupressure. Summer's the season of fire element in traditional Chinese medicine. So we think of fire element, we think of, everything's up, everything's exciting, joy, social, time to be social, time to connect with friends and family, and, the energy's up. And, we want to make sure, though, that we keep in balance. And so even that excitement and joy of summer can even turn into an imbalance. Things can get too fiery, let's just say. So for balanced pets, balanced pets are our goal. And that means physically, it means emotionally. And when a pet is off balance, there are some signs. And you may notice this perhaps in the summer a little bit, these specific things that indicate our pet is a little bit off balance due to this increased heat in the summer. So it can be that they kind of go to an extreme of that joy into what we might call mania or overexcitability, overexcitement, that you might see that manifest in barking, just getting a little bit too like fiery, aggressive. You know, there's things that will you might see even in training where they're just not able to listen, or they're not able to calm down and focus. So it could also be the opposite of that. It could be that someone who's off balance with fire element, whether human or animal, this applies to people, of course, too, may become more shut down, disconnected from socializing, so disconnected from others. So these are all signs of imbalance in fire element. And, you know, our goal is to help them to calm down, whether you're traveling in a car, whether you're in a hotel room, place you're visiting, or you're just, you know, generally going about your life in the summer. So our goal is to help our pets to feel balanced and protected and safe. So the first part I'm going to go over is Heart 9. And Heart 9 can help to benefit what we call Shen disturbances. So Shen is, in traditional Chinese medicine, responsible for thinking, cognition, the emotional part of a being, of a life form, and the spiritual consciousness of our being. So this point can help with thoracic, this part of the body going into like the arm area. So say that, for instance, and many more things, I'm just telling you the part of the actual physical structure that it helps with. So think of that like perhaps you do a hike with your pet. But also this can help with things like an animal being fearful, anxious, trust issues, agitated, again, like I was mentioning, unable to focus in training, you know, going into, say, a strange place like a hotel room and they can't settle down. And I've had my pets do this, like go into a hotel room and they're like jumping on the bed, jumping off the bed. You know, we have to help them to calm down. There's noises in the hallway. They're unfamiliar with the smells there. They're hearing people through the walls. They don't know. So helping them with that. And then also separation anxiety. So if you're planning to leave your pet, you could use this point ahead of time. And you could also, perhaps, depending on the person who's going to be with your animal, maybe they'd be willing to work with your pet and do this point. It's pretty easy to do. It can also help with overheating. I'm going to show you the point in just a moment. It can also help with overheating, loss of consciousness, or fevers. But of course, always in these instances, make sure you get them to a veterinarian quickly. And arm and hand pain. I think I mentioned that a little bit. Okay, so first I'm going to show you, this is the heart meridian. Okay. And the heart meridian, I don't know why my voice just sounded like a 13-year-old boy there. The heart meridian, a little drink here of coffee. Okay, the heart is the main organ system of the fire element. See that red line? That's the heart meridian. And it actually, you can see how it crosses over. It's an interesting meridian. So these are like energetic pathways in the body in traditional Chinese medicine, in acupressure. These are the same meridians that are used in acupuncture with needles, but acupressure has a benefit that we can do this with our pets at home. So the heart meridian, you see, it crosses over. That red line right there. So you're seeing it on the inside, and it passes along the inside of the body, the inside of the arm, but then you see it goes over. It's also on the outer part of the arm. And the heart meridian is considered the monarch of the body. There's more about that. I have a fire element video. I've got several videos about the elements, so you might want to check those out if you want to go more in depth in my playlist for acupressure and massage. So this point is located on oops, you know what? I think I actually did this backwards. I'm confused. I don't know why I did this. We did these pictures right before the show, kind of in a hurry. So wait, let me get rid of that because that's going to confuse you. I did it on the outside and it should have been on the inside. On the medial or inner part of the pinky, right here. I mean, you got to see Cheyenne's cute fuzzy paw, but that was wrong. Don't pay attention to it. It's easier to go this way. So here's my hand, and then here's my pinky. So it's on the inner part. And it's right at the nail bed, but sort of on the side is the only way, the way to put it, like the inner part. And when we do acupressure with our pets, it's really good for us to just get a little bit grounded and centered if we're not already in that place, which many of us aren't a lot of the time because of just life, which is, you know, busy and crazy. So what we could do is you could use something like a meditation. I have a free meditation on my website that you can always take advantage of and download. And it's a free MP3 at intuitivetouchanimalcare.com. And if you'd like, oops, I lost you there. Let me get you back here. You've got my wrong screen, I think. Hold on. Oh no, there you go. Okay. You can use that meditation to ground yourself and get centered. It's an animal communication meditation too. So you're learning some animal communication and going on kind of a guided, relaxing journey. And, you know, the idea is that we want to be centered and grounded when we approach our pets, because the more centered and grounded we are, the more that's going to benefit our pets. If you've ever noticed, the calmer you are, oftentimes, the more often your pets will come to you. Especially cats, you might notice this. So they really thrive when we're in our most centered and grounded energetic space. So before we do this any acupressure with them, try to get there. And if you don't have time to do a whole meditation, that's okay. Just, you know, inhale slowly through the nose, let that out slowly through the mouth. Do it maybe 3 or 4 times just to help yourself get grounded, and then approach them to do some acupressure. And the way we do this is we're just going to be, on this point, we're going to be pressing gently on that point with your finger. And usually you want to be holding your other hand supporting the pet. So say that you're, I wish I could use, I wonder if I could. I don't think I could get her to be, no. That would be too easy to get Gia to help out right now. She's not the most agreeable of cats. I can't just pull her on the show, unfortunately. But you want to have one hand sort of balancing the energy. So the hand that's not doing the point, you want to have that like supporting them. Probably actually when you're working on their that area of the body, like that pinky, you're probably going to want to be supporting the other side of the arm. So I'm trying to picture it in my mind. So you might have if you're like, I'm right-handed. So if I have my left hand just kind of supporting their limb, like say it's lying down, like on a bed or something, I'm holding that with my left hand, and then my right hand is on that point. Do whatever works for you. It can be a little bit of a game of Twister when we're doing massage and acupressure with our pets. We just have to kind of go with it. And I will be checking for any questions in here, comments. Yeah. Boarding them. That's why, you know, that's why right. So true, Mom Mike. That's just why we haven't taken a vacation in 13 years. Yeah. My husband and I were talking about, could we do anything? And we're like, well, we're probably going to just drive somewhere. We might drive down to like South Carolina. We haven't been to Charleston, so we're thinking of just driving down there with the dogs. That's about all we can do. We certainly don't want to be flying far. We wouldn't want to leave our babies and go somewhere like, you know, Europe or something like that. Doesn't matter which pinky finger. Like, oh, I'm sorry. We want to do the right and the left. We want to do both. So that's the balanced approach to it. And when we do this, we're going to be doing a gentle pressure, not too hard. And we're going to hold it for about 60 seconds approximately. And you'll see when it's time to move off of that point, because your pet will do something where that will show you that the energy has shifted. So they might lick their lips. They might shake. They may just move their arm. And just as a note, if your pet ever just doesn't seem to want acupressure, just let it go. You don't have to force it. We don't want to force it. You know, maybe that's just not what they need at this time. So come back to it maybe at another time, in an hour or two, or the next day. See how that goes. But they may lick their lips. They may shake. They may shift their body. They may roll over. They may yawn. They may do a full like stretch out. So anything where you see some kind of shift is going to be your indicator that you're pretty much done with that point. And yes, if it's a point that can be found on both sides of the body, which I'm going to show you one that's not in a moment, or two that aren't. This one is on both sides though. Good question. Yes, absolutely. Yes, they do. They feed off our energy. Okay, so that is pretty much heart 9. So really good calming, cooling point. Think about it that way for your pet. Sorry, I've got like this weird collection of lipstick here. There's so many things that, you know, you're live and it's like, what am I going to do? I don't know. All right. So next point, governing vessel 20. Okay. This acupressure point is on the governing vessel, as the name says. And that is going to look like this. So the governing vessel is paired with something called the conception vessel. The governing vessel is this dotted line that runs, you'll see it on the top, that dotted line of the body. And then you'll see on the undercarriage is the solid line. And so the one we're talking about right now, so those are paired meridians, we call them in traditional Chinese medicine. The meridians have sister meridians or paired meridians. And we're talking about the top one, governing vessel, for the final 2 points I'm going to show you. So governing vessel 20, though, is also referred to as bai hui in Chinese, and it's also called 100 convergences. It has several names. You would call it that in English, 100 convergences, 100 meeting places. And it's interesting because this point can either ascend or descend energy. So it can either uplift or sedate. And this point is pretty easy to find. Show it to you there. So if you go from the top of the ears, so if you're like, you know, with her, it's very easy to find even not using the ears, but with her ears kind of flop down. But you could do this on yourself first to help you find it. So top of the ears, and then follow with both fingers up to the middle of your head. And it's actually the top part of your head, the highest point of your head. And you gently press there 30 to 60 seconds or so until you see some kind of a shift. And that is governing vessel. And okay, so governing vessel is called bai hui for humans, actually. And there's a different location where we refer to it as bai hui on an animal, which I'm going to show you in a moment. And I'll explain why. But don't worry about that. Don't worry about the bai hui name. Just call it governing vessel 20 if you'd like. So this point has many benefits. And actually there was a study done, a formal study, which you can find on PubMed. and I'll just quote what the conclusion of the study was, that governing vessel 20 is an instant sedative effect, has an instant sedative effect for, this was acupuncture, but acupuncture and acupressure have very much some similar effects. Acupuncture at governing vessel 20 has effects on the frequency of electroencephalogram. Am I saying that right? Electroencephalogram A and B waves in the model of sleep deprivation. The findings indicated that acupuncture treatment at governing vessel 20 may be an effective application in treating insomnia symptoms such as anxiety and mania. The present study may be meaningful for designing clinical acupuncture treatment plans for patients with insomnia. So that link is in the description, and it's also, or I'm going to be adding it into the description, but you can find it on PubMed. Okay, so this is a very calming point, and it could be something you could use with your pet, again, if they need to chill out a little bit. All right, so the next point I'm going to show you is also along the governing vessel. And so like I was saying before, this point is referred to as buyhui. I'm going to say why in a moment, for pets. And this point is located at the lumbosacral junction, or where the hips, pelvis meets the spine, and where there's a little divot. So it's a little hard to see this in this photo of her. Again, we kind of did these photos right before the show, and when I brought them up, I was like, ah. But this is her little, this is her posterior, Cheyenne. So you kind of just have to find where you feel the hips come together in the midpoint. And there's a little divot there. And that is that point. And it's a relaxing point. Now, if you're having trouble finding it, like exactly with the anatomy, it's really not so important, because if you kind of just take your hand and kind of just massage around that area, you'll even see pets do this naturally, where they want that part of their body like scratched, they'll gravitate towards it. So animals are very intuitive. They know what they need. And again, once they're finished with it, they'll probably walk away or shake out. We had a little trouble with her because she kept trying to lie to her right or her left. She wasn't being entirely cooperative, which is not a surprise. So you all may have actually seen episodes that I've had on this show of Amy, Nancy Zidonis and Amy Snow. They are my teachers from Tallgrass Animal Acupressure, where I went and got my acupressure certification. I'm actually doing some more training this summer I'm excited about. I'm going to Colorado for a class. So, and they may be back this summer, but we have them on periodically, and they're wonderful. I have a discount in my description if you want to purchase any of their materials. They have some wonderful charts and things. But they asked their professor why this point, what he called this point buyhui for the animals, and they asked him why. Apparently, at first he just kind of didn't say anything, and then he came back and he said, it's the highest point when an animal is eating, so it's the closest point to heaven on an animal. Interesting. So that is a wonderful point for relaxing your pet, and I guess just in general making them happy. They just seem to love that point. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, let me know. And also, if you ever have questions, you can always leave them in the comment if you're watching this show later on, if you're watching the replay. And I do always really appreciate if you have found anything helpful here to subscribe to the channel. We find a lot of people who watch the shows they're not necessarily subscribers. So we really appreciate you subscribing. It helps the channel's algorithm. Liking it helps the algorithm. All of that is very important to us. And if you're interested in working with me on anything I've mentioned here, acupressure, massage, I do distance work on those things, as well as animal communication. We can do an assessment from a distance for some points for your pet. Just go to my website, intuitivetouchanimalcare.com, and you can also book animal communication. And like I mentioned, we have this course coming up. If you want to sign up, the link is in the description, but you can also get that free guided meditation on my website right there. I don't know what that background is, but you can get that for free on my website. And also, I do have a course if you'd rather jump in and do something a little bit more in depth and really get started. This is an intro course that you can take by itself, or you can follow it up with getting your certification as an animal communicator through Animal Intuitive Academy, which is my school. But this is animal communication, acupressure, and mindfulness. And this is kind of an all-in-one to help you really get going with animal communication. It's got a lot of points. And also, I designed it to help humans relax. That is the mindfulness portion of that. And also acupressure, because you can do those points on yourself. And I just personally find that animal communication is very helpful with relaxation, calming, grounding. I certainly can't in any way say that it's something that is evidence-based, I guess you would say, although meditation is evidence-based. They've done studies on the benefits of meditation for things like what would be called in traditional Western medicine, ADHD, anxiety, things like that. You can certainly find research on that. And that meditation is definitely a part of animal communication and in preparing to communicate with animals. I personally find it to be very helpful for centering and grounding. So yes, please do subscribe. I really appreciate you. Mel Mac, thank you so much. And, hit that notification bell to be notified about future episodes. Well, thank you everybody for being here. That's pretty much all I have. I just hope that you join us next weekend for this free course, and check out the playlist if you want to keep learning. I will have some episodes here once the show finishes processing on YouTube. Sometimes that takes a little while, but you can always go to the playlist. Well, I'm so happy to see everybody today, and we will reconnect soon, hopefully. Yes, folks may not realize how connected we are and how we can communicate with them. Definitely. People may not. I think everybody can communicate with animals. I think everybody has that ability. And for some of us, it's just, for some, it's a matter of relearning it or reconnecting with it. Just because, through life, people aren't necessarily taught to tap into that ability, but most people have had an experience of telepathy, knowing who's on the other end of the phone before you pick it up, or knowing someone's about to call, that kind of thing. And that's just sort of a hint. It shows you that you have this intuition, and it's really all you're tapping into with animal communication. You're just learning to develop it a bit more, hone the skill, and use that with your pets, which pretty much everybody who takes my classes, once we start talking, they're able to remember a time when they've communicated with an animal. They just may not have realized that they were doing it. So I really encourage people to do that. Animals appreciate it more than you know. They're always trying to communicate with us. So yes, and that's the school, animalintuitiveacademy.podia.com. And if I'm not always there, you can always go to my website, because I house my classes there, but I have a website, intuitivetouchanimalcare.com. That probably will never change, and you can always get to the classes through there. Thank you so much. Good night, Owl. I appreciate it. I'm glad it was informative, and I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend and relaxing and start to the summer. Thank you, everybody. God bless. Rub my back.